Welcome back to PASC 2023 on stage and our continued summaries of the mini-symposium. Joining me here I have Gilles Fourestey, who has organized a symposium on the accelerator hubs for fusion and plasma research. Tell me a little bit more about it. Why are you organizing this and who did you bring together?
So the mini-symposium was actually to bring together the representatives of the three advanced computing hubs in EUROfusion and the vendors, so the NVIDIA, Intel, and AMD, to talk about how software development and scientific software development should be moved forward in order to help designing the fusion tokamaks and the fusion reactors in general, which is a very, very difficult problem. And so our hubs are designed to help the theory and the researchers, so the theory people, to better use supercomputers in Europe and in the US.
And I happen to know that this is a relatively novel setup with these hubs, right? You've only been active for a year or two.
Yeah, so they started 2 years ago. So before, there was this, what was called the high-level support team, which was a prototype of the advanced computing hubs. It was hosted in Garching. And then 2 years ago, so actually 3 years ago, EUROfusion decided to put more effort into it and create more advanced computing hubs in Europe. There are 5 advanced computing hubs in Europe. 3 are dedicated to HPC.
So, all right. So now, 2 years later, when you had the symposium here, were there any obvious common themes, take-home messages? What did you learn from these presentations?
Yeah, so actually it was interesting because since the hubs are fairly new, we don't have a lot of contacts right now with the other hubs. And it was interesting to actually see what they were doing. So it helped understand and appreciate what the other hubs are doing. So this is not completely, so we don't have, for example, regular meetings with each other. So that's a good way to actually meet with the other hubs. What was also very interesting is to have the vendors coming and give us their view about how we should be moving the software development, the HPC software development forward.
And that's an important theme that has come up both in a number of symposium presentations here, right? That on the one hand, we want the vendors to be involved, but we don't want this to be focused entirely on porting to an architecture. You also want the long-term scientific goal steering, right? And I can imagine the hub is a great setup for that.
Yeah, exactly. And so we talked about performance portability, but not only. I mean, there's also this trend of maybe reducing the cycle of software development and targeting a specific target in order to get the best performance, even if we have to redo it if the target changes after a few years.
And I can imagine there must be really important topics related to just software quality and assurance, right? That designing the software is one thing, but given the investments in the tokamaks, I guess you need to be 100.0% certain that the simulations are correct.
Yeah, so this is part also of what is called the TSVV. So it's the theory group. So it's theory, software, verification, and validation. And validation is also a very, very important part where we compare with. So, for example, at EPFL we have a tokamak that is designed exactly for that, in order to compare software, so simulations, and real-life experiments. It's a bit difficult because when you have a plasma that is 100 million degrees, inserting a probe is a very difficult trick. But yeah, that's really a huge part of what we are doing.
I remember joking that it would be fun to have my own synchrotron, but having your own tokamak sounds a whole lot cooler.
Okay.
So now, after the symposium, do you have any obvious call to actions? What's the next step?
So I think the next step would be to further the collaborations between our advanced computing hubs and the vendors. This is They do support us a lot, but I think going so the next step would be to involve them even more, especially in this era where you have very heterogeneous systems available.
That sounds super important, and we look forward to have an updated symposium in a year or so and welcome you back.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for your attention.